Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. Dun 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 dun. We got an excellent show. I'm really excited about it today. Friend zone and re-entering the dating world after being celibate for 11 years. This is a client of mine, a friend of mine now, that is going to be a live caller today and discuss and break down his situation of over a year and a half ago of getting friend zone and re-entering the dating world after heartbreak. And it's actually really, really kind of him to share his story, because I don't think there's a lot of people out there that would feel comfortable sharing the idea that they were celibate for 11 years or out of the dating world for that long. But actually, there's a lot of people, a lot of men that I've talked to that have been celibate for years after a bad breakup or a bad situation. And a lot of times it's related to your childhood. It's related to how your parents' relationship, how toxic it was, and a lot of times how bad your first breakup was. And if your first breakup was really bad and really traumatic, that can slap you in the face and make you not want to date again. Eduardo Martinez, I'm so happy you're on today. This is going to be a great show. The caller I have is actually LA, which is where you're from, my friend. So like I said, I'm going to wait about 5 minutes to call him. But I'm really excited about the show today because this is going to be fun. And he's really happy. He's really happy with where he's at now, I believe. And when because I've been approaching some past clients about coming on the live stream and having these talks. And he was like, man, I'd be happy to discuss it. Anything to do to help you out and whatnot. And just to let you know out there, Eduardo Martinez, you haven't done a live coaching session before, but I'm noticing that I'm getting a lot more clients from past sessions. So people from a year ago, people from a year and a half ago are coming back to me and they're going, hey, Mac, I have something else I want to talk about. I don't want to just talk about dating. I don't want to just talk about my breakup. I'm over it, but I want to talk to you about business, about work bothering me, about this pandemic. I want to talk to you about my family issues. And you know what? I'm here for you. So I'm opening up the lines that we can talk about other things about breakups, because this is what's happened now. When the journey of being a coach, a lot of people say, hey man, we're connected. We have a good connection. I want to talk to you about other things. And so now I'm going to make more of an effort to broaden what we talk about. And I'm actually adding hypnotherapy. So this might be something you're interested in, Eduardo. Hypnotherapy for limited beliefs or places in your life that you're stuck. And I've done that with about 30 plus clients so far. And I've got glowing results. And the thing about hypnotherapy, it's something I've done before. I've been a client of it before. So I learned from the person that did it for me, and then I started implementing it in my coaching, and a lot of people have said, wow. So if you're familiar with hypnotherapy or not familiar with hypnotherapy, basically you're getting hypnotized. It's not going to be holding the clock or the chain and having your eyes go both ways, but it's a way to reprogram or reframe negative beliefs. And really that's where you're messed up. And to me, it's the highest level of therapy that actually gets to the root of the problem and fixes things the fastest. And I've had clients that have had immediate results, and I know it worked for me. So this is something I'm adding to my services now, and a new website's being built. So Charles from DC, how to get an ex back when limerence is gone after 9.5 years. What does limerence mean to you, Charles DC? And are you from DC or are you DC Comics? And can I call you Charlie? Eduardo Martinez, your opinions and takes are also so interesting to me. You have genuinely changed my views in all aspects of life. Wow, that's a huge compliment, Eduardo. Get in contact with me and let's do a live coaching session. I know you're doing really well with your girlfriend, but I'm happy to do a hypnotherapy section with you. And actually, I'm offering a discounted package this month. So if you're interested in inquiring about that, because like I said, I know you're okay with your ex now. Let's do it. Let's do it. Because the results have been really good. Really, really good. So, like I said, we're going to get in. I want to get a few more people on deck before I get into the call. She told me she doesn't have feelings anymore. Charles DC, I would highly recommend that you send your story into writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com, and I'll unpack that for you in a YouTube video, or let's just go into a live coaching session. If you don't find the coaching session useful or helpful, I will refund you. I don't know anyone else that does that. 9.5 years, you got to get into the story of what happened. So you're asking me a specific question. Strangle wanted? Strange, wanted to marry and have kids before breakup. Okay, did you not want to get married and have kids? Because that wouldn't be strange then. Or were you hesitant? Is she in her early to mid 30s? Early to mid 30s is a lot of times when women get their biological clocks ticking and they get antsy and anxious about having kids now. Were you like, oh, I'm up for having kids, but not right now? Again, when you get past 4 years, 5 years, especially if you live together, you need serious therapy or coaching out of the breakup. Because if you don't get out ahead of this, it'll affect your next relationship. It'll affect your depression, your mental state, your job. It happens, Charlie. Things and people change depending on new jobs, environments, such as the great Max says. Environment's at the core of everything. And I think a lot of times, environment, I'm going to add one more thing, Eduardo Martinez. Content digestion. And I'll coin that phrase myself. But what, beyond environment, what content online is your partner digesting at a regular pace? And that can include Netflix movies. Because that's going to shape their views, observations, and how they look at the world big time. Big time. So, if someone's on Instagram regularly, if someone's on, and what do they check on Instagram, right? Those things, Flocks, 9410110. We got a live caller coming on. You're going to I'd like you to stay on for this one, Flocks. I think you'll enjoy it, bud. Truth or love, I apologize for posting my thing on your Discord without asking first. I thought about it afterwards. I said I should have asked, even though we're pretty cool. But yeah, truth or love, it's going to be a good show today. I'm glad you came on because I got a live caller on. And we're going to unpack the journey we've had of me being his coach. I want to get to about 10 on deck before I start the call. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, Clutch. I hope you're doing well with the new job. I hope LA or Orange County's treating you well, the weather and all. Social media and media in general can shift their ways for sure. I would say, like I said, I'm big on environment, and environments that you're in are going to shape your identity and your values a lot of times. But social media digestion, and that would include Netflix, TV shows that someone's regularly watching, it's gonna affect them. It's gonna really affect them. So if you notice, and this is what's interesting about relationships now, your partner could suddenly start watching Netflix, 5 hours a night, or do Instagram, where they're addicted to it. This affects them. If I have the energy to do a call afterwards, yeah, we'll do one, Clutch, if you're on still. I think this is going to be about an hour. I'm going to lose 50 pounds again. I'm already eating at home more. This state has an impact. Oh, God. Well, Cali, whenever I go home for a visit, I gain weight. My mom loves to make the biscuits, the mashed potatoes. God bless her. And she'll be telling me too, what do you want? 10:30 a.m. in the morning, I'm staying at mom and dad's house. What do you want for dinner tonight? I don't know, Mom. I don't know. She's getting 33. She's becoming Charles DC. 33 is a sweet spot for women that go, I want to have kids. And if you hesitate or you kind of put it off, and a lot of guys go, yeah. You know, like, yeah, I want to have kids, but they're not urgent about it. They'll pull the cord on you. There's women that I have as clients that are in their 31, 32, 33, and they are pressing their men to have kids right now. And they don't like maybe in a year or two. And if they're good looking and they're a good catch, then they have options, and they look at it like those options are shrinking, right? If you read the Rational Male, that women are basically in decline in their early 30s all the way down, and they know it in a lot of ways. Men in their early 30s are just hitting their stride. That's the mother clause. They promote it is so you end up sleeping over. Oh, when I go back to California, I stay with my parents. It's too expensive to get a hotel. I got a good relationship with them. I'm fine with it. I love waking up and having breakfast with Pops. Oh, did you see the news today? Oh, Christ, Jesus. My dad's, I got to get him on the show one day. We got 4 on deck? Like I said, I want to get 10 on deck and then make this call. If not, I'm going to do it pretty soon. Angel Jimenez, that's me right now. I don't know what that's me right now about. All right. Flocks Eduardo, Charles DC. I'm going to make my call. I'm going to get my guy on. Man, it feels so good to be drinking coffee again. People, and I'm meeting so many people, oh, I don't even drink coffee. Coffee is beautiful. So I got this written to the side here. Make the call. Donations are welcome, folks. If you don't want to make a donation, that's just fine. If you got questions, feel free to put them in the live stream, but I probably won't get to them until after the call's over.
Hello?
Hey, bud. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just want to clarify to you that we are on live at the live stream, so nothing will be held against you, what you say.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So first off, I'd like to introduce, I'm just going to call him Bud today because we're not going to use names. But he's been a client of mine now for about 1.5 years. It was October of 2019. I looked this up. He came to me with a situation where he had developed some serious feelings for a woman that was his friend, and they had been good friends for years, knowing each other since middle school, actually, which is a pretty deep connection. And like I believe you told me, like, you weren't best friends in middle school, right? You were just friends?
Correct.
Yeah, it wasn't like you were deep then. So they were good friends for about 4 years, and this was in your late 20s when you were good friends, or early 30s?
Early 30s.
Yeah. So you guys somehow reconnected and started just doing a lot of stuff together and even becoming roommates at one point. Just to give you some background, Bud had been non-active in the dating world for about 11 years. You said?
Yes.
Okay, at this point.
Yeah, correct.
And you're in your early 30s, having had a bad breakup in his early 20s. The bad breakup was what, like you're 21 or something? 22?
Yes, it was right before like my mid-20s.
Okay. Okay. We're going to circle back and talk about that later. So having had a bad breakup in his early 20s and also cleaning his life up of drugs and toxic relationships with family members, which a lot of us can relate to. And doing that in your early 20s, early to mid 20s, it's not always easy. So I applauded him when we talked that even though he was out of the dating world and celibate for 11 years, which surprises a lot of people, he had bigger fish to fry, as cliche as that sounds, that probably if he would have just continued to date and not take care of the drug issue and the toxic relationships of people around him, he probably would have ended up with a really bad partner in a worse situation. So putting that first, I think, was actually a really good move. So by the time he got to me, he hadn't dated in a long time, hadn't hooked up with a woman in a long time, 11 years. And he had developed a serious crush on his best friend, who was a woman, who I mentioned earlier. And what I wanted to say is it wasn't quite a friend zone situation in that he went into this situation being okay with being friends. So me and him had talked about this before. I've talked about this before. I'm a man that can be friends with a woman and be okay with that. There's guys out there that will say, oh, I could never be friends with a woman that I'm attracted to, or I could never be friends with just a woman. That's not possible for a real man or an alpha male. For me, I have women that are friends, and I'm fine with it. Am I attracted to them at times? Sure. But I can go into a friendship, and I think it's the same for you, correct, bud?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So he went into this sincerely being friends, not trying to play games. And I believe he was okay with being friends and then develop feelings, but just didn't know how to make a move from being friends so long. So what would you like? You were friends I remember it was like the 4-year mark. When did you start to develop feelings? Like 2 years, 3 years?
Actual feelings, let me see. Probably the last 6 months kind of jumps out at me. That were more definitely more serious. I mean, again, based on our interactions, so it kind of developed into me wondering if there was anything there.
Did it start when she lived with you?
It started, let me see, most likely after she moved out.
After she moved out, okay.
Yes.
So this is the funny turning point. So what happened was he had these feelings, but he hadn't acted on them, but I don't think it was causing a huge problem between you. But then one day she made a comment that something along the lines, and I don't remember the specific thing. You could correct me if I'm not dead on. What if I gave you a BJ right now? What if I gave you, oral stimulation right now? And this clicked something for him, and he sort of pursued the comment. Correct?
Yes, I've never heard that comment before. Like the other couple women friends I had before, so that kind of made me wonder, is she serious? But it was just kind of something like definitely made me think, and to think how to pursue it.
Right. And so at that point you had some feelings, but this elevated the feelings and kind of sparked something in you like, oh shit. Well, yeah, I would like that if you did that. So basically, yeah, she made this comment, and afterwards it kind of gnawed at you, right? It kind of got in your head like, how am I going to go about this? How am I going to bring this up again, kind of thing. Then when he came to me, he was upset because you actually did confront. You actually did confront her, and how did you confront her afterwards? Because she made that comment and you didn't say anything right away. You kind of just laughed it off, correct?
Right. Yes. Nothing was said that day. Mm-hmm. And I believe I was helping her move into her new place. Mm-hmm. And nothing was said that day. And then I guess just the next few days, I was thinking about it more and more. I can't remember how much time went from that day till the moment I actually told her how I felt.
Probably a couple weeks. It wasn't right away, right?
No, it was not right away. And it was, it could have been, it's somewhere within a month. that
When
happened.
you called me, had you confronted her yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that had already happened.
Okay. So when you confronted her, like, let's go through that, or whatever you remember from that. Like, what did you say? And let's just say it was a month later. That we don't have to be exact. I mean, it's a year and a half ago. It was significant time later that it was on your mind because you were like, I would like you to do that, but I don't know how to ask again.
Right.
I don't know how to bring it up, but like, yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Put myself in that position again, so I have a better answer.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I get it, but it's surprised you also. But
Yeah.
but also keep in mind you had been celibate for a long time. You've been out of the dating world, so that's on your mind through this. So when you confronted her about the comment, what did you say?
Well, at first I didn't know how to approach it because I did like her, and if she was, I didn't know how that joke was to be taken. So I asked a friend, like a woman friend, an older woman friend, how to do that, like approach that. And
Mm-hmm.
if verbally telling her, like, I didn't know the difference that you and I went over about how to approach this, but so I thought verbally because I knew her for a long time and I didn't know how to go about like
Mm-hmm.
like being intimate with a woman again and starting a relationship, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her on the phone how I felt, and then when I told her, that's when she was just like, oh, okay, but like I don't think of you like that, and I love you as my friend, and that whole thing. And then after we hung up, then instantly I regretted it. I was like, I knew I should just kept my mouth shut and just kept doing what I was doing, and like I shouldn't have said that. I was doing fine. Like I should have just like not took the chance. I was just in so much regret at that moment, and then I wrote her uh, um, a text explaining like because there was different times that she would send me like pictures of herself, and um I did those moments when she sent those pictures, I kind of felt that same way, like when she said that to me, like, what is this is like a flirty kind of
What
thing,
were the pictures? Was she in a bikini or something?
no, it was a selfie, and like she was just looking very I don't know, maybe it was the way I took it, but I remember this was when she was staying with me too. She went to her friends or cousins, I forget, for like a few days, and then she was like contacting me like a lot, and we were talking back and forth during that whole time. And then she was in a room by herself, I guess, and then she just took the picture of her, and like she looked great. Like the clothes she was wearing was not like a bikini or anything, but I don't know how you describe that look, like when you're giving a
Sexy?
selfie. Yes, like a sexy kind of look.
Okay, like she had like her
Just
finger near her lips or something.
right, yeah. And she wasn't just like
Yeah,
a selfie, like making a funny face, or you know what I mean,
I
like.
got you. You were, yeah, it was
And
seductive in
fresh
some
out of a
ways.
breakup too.
Okay, and she was fresh out of a breakup, you said?
Yeah, that's why she was staying at my house because
Ah.
uh, I hung out with her a couple times previous to that, and then she called me one day. Oh, can you pick me up? Like
Mm-hmm.
so and so cheated on me, and okay, so I go pick her up, and that whole time I didn't want to either because I had my own issues going on, and
Mm-hmm.
so I did, and then so I don't know if that kind of like the whole coming out of a relationship. I don't know how women are or men are, fresh out of relationships and how they.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're different for different people. I mean, it depends on the breakup and how they handle them. So there's not a one size fits all. But getting back to um, the call that you confronted her on, hey, so you went to your lady friend. She suggested that you call her and tell her how you feel, correct?
Yes.
And then when you called her and told you how you feel, you were extremely direct, weren't you?
Yeah, very much.
and and so what did you say? Like, hey, when you made that comment, I had feelings, something like that, right?
Wow. Yeah. It's been a while, geez, since I thought about it. I had told her that I do like her more than a friend, and I wanted to pursue that. I forget if I said I wanted to go on a date or if I wanted to be her boyfriend. Maybe I really don't remember how I worded it. But I definitely did make it clear that I liked her more than a friend. And
well, it was funny because I think my advice at the time, by the time that you had gotten to me, was that you probably shouldn't have brought it up that way on the phone to make it like a situation where it's like, that moment had already ended because there was a window there, right, to just go for it when she said it, or, and then there was also the idea of saying like, this is how I feel. What do you think? It kind of put her on the spot, right? Because she's like, well, I'm just a friend, like, da, 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 da. And then I said, if I remember correctly, I was like, I think you'd be better off if you just, you guys went out to eat and then you had a few drinks and then you watched a movie together and you were like, I don't drink. And I'm like, okay. Because I was like, it's not that you need a drink, but sometimes drinks grease the wheels and relax people if you have a glass of wine or something like that. It just makes it easier. But I remember you saying that, like, I don't drink. I haven't drank in 6, and I was like, oh, that's great. And then I
remember I did a video response before I did our live session, and I remember you had said, and it sticks out to me ever since, and through dating after that, is like, you have to show her you like her. You can't tell her you like her. And that kind of really sparked,
well, that's a great point, dude, because and you don't need to clarify, you don't need to, I was saying in your particular case, because overkill isn't good either, right? To be a kiss ass or show way too much attention. I mean, that's in every dating book, to be clingy or that. But yeah, you need to show her moments that you have interest, right? Like that so like to tell her on the phone is very passive, and like I said, it puts her in a situation where she's like, no. Most women would probably be like, oh no, because they don't want to make it that easy, right? You would have been wanting to make a move, like I said, like you went out to dinner, and then you create a situation where like some kind of dynamic that was created when she made that comment, like when you went back, like there was something there. But also her making that comment when we talked, like I was like, you have a right to be a little upset but you also, what I've noticed in my own life also, especially with guys that are susceptible like yourself and like me, I haven't really considered myself to get friend zoned because they are my friends. I've actually had women that are my friends that like me, and then I'm the one to be like, yeah, no, because I don't want to just, have an extra number on the wall. It's like I don't like her that much in that way to hang out regularly, because that's what it is, right? Like there's attraction, and then like a girl or a woman you want to see, like you want to hang out with them. You want to you want to have conversations. Like you like their company. Like some people you like their company, but you're not that attracted to them. Those are the friends, right? Those are the friends. And it sounds like, and it's like sometimes you can be like, I don't know what it is, but I'm just not attracted to her in that way. Women will say that about men. Men will say like, there's guy friends of mine that are like, they're pretty much attracted to 9 out of 10 women.
Of course, yeah.
I've got some buddies like that where I'm like, damn, dude, you don't really have a type. It's just take a pulse. You know, it's exactly. Like, they'll be like, damn, dude, she likes you. And I'm like, yeah, we're cool. You know, we've worked together for a while. Damn, what's up with that? Why don't you? And I'm like, I'm cool, man. We're just friends. So yeah, it's just, so it's different for different people. But that being said, when you got to this point where you tried that over the phone, then you talked to me, then it pretty much got to a point where you were frustrated, is the word I would use. You were frustrated and you were upset because you then had to make a choice about keeping this person as a friend because it hurt you, it upset you, it frustrated you, and now things are awkward 4 years later into a deep friendship where she basically said more than one time, let's just go back to being friends. Like, I don't have those feelings for you. And it's kind of like you couldn't put the genie back in the bottle. You couldn't,
Right.
you probably had moments at the time because at the time you were insecure about dating and different things because you were just getting your feet wet again, right? So you're like, oh shit, like I fucked up. I did, but you're like, I don't want to be friends with you again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, especially too, because kind of what you touched on a moment ago is that we were hanging out a lot and talking all the time and just going to different places together. And so I think that's what also I found attractive too, because I thought we did have that, that good friend, close friendship.
I think that if you had been in a situation where you read the Models book and read the No More Mr. Nice Guy and had a few women that you were dating outside of her, and she wasn't the only show in town, I think you would have been in a better position to naturally create some attraction there and actually have a possibility of it. But the fact that you were friends for so long, you get typecasted like a movie. And it's kind of like, well, I just don't look at you that. You know what I mean? It would take a lot. And that's why I said it would take like having a few glasses of wine, doing something different than just your frenzy type things. And so, even your experiences since then, because you've done a little bit of dating and had a little bit of success, you'd be different in that situation now, I think. I don't think you'd be putting yourself in that situation again. So
Right.
That's
I totally would try to like make a move like like thinking about it now, it would have been way easier to be rejected like trying to kiss her than it was doing what I did and trying or like it was I would have taken a rejection from kissing than what I went through.
Well, what's really cool about that is that I remember talking to you because Bud, who's on the line right now, we're using that as his name right now. He's a businessman. You classify yourself as a businessman, correct?
Yes.
Without getting into details of what your business is and whatnot. And so a good businessman or businesswoman, thinks with logic, reason, and puts emotion to the side, right? Is that
Correct.
I mean, anyone that I've known that's been a really good entrepreneur, well, entrepreneurs are a little more emotional, but business-wise is put the emotion to the side, get to the numbers. And so I literally remember, I think you wrote an email to her or something like that, and I'm like, this is business-like. It was very contractual, and hey, you said this, and I thought you meant this, and you did. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is you have your business cap on right now. You don't have your emotion cap on right now, and you identified that with me. I think that you were like, you know what, you're right, because I do write a lot of business type emails. I read a lot of documents from lawyers, and that's how you wrote. That's how you wrote the email. I don't remember what the email said, but I remember like, this is like a negotiating terms of a sale or something. And so
that was the email that I told her we couldn't continue being friends due to it would just be too awkward. And that's what that was.
Yeah. And so, but it was good for you to identify. Okay, it's saying it. Okay, we're back on. Sorry. Sometimes the live streams do this where they reconnect. So going back to this, I think one of the things that bothered you too was that she made it sound like, well, I was just joking with you.
Yes.
And you were like, you don't joke like that.
Yeah, totally.
You don't just tell me like, oh yeah, what if I gave you a BJ right now? You were like, you don't just say that.
Yeah. I mean, like, not that I expected her to literally do that, but at the same time, it's like, why would you say that if you didn't have like a feeling, like you just say
Freudian
that to people?
slip.
Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
Yeah. Well, there's a good friend of mine. One quote I always remember: every joke is half true, or more. Or more. Like when people joke around, that's still something that went through their mind, right? Like they came up with that idea. That wasn't just Oh, I don't even know where that came from. Well, I do. And it was in the moment. It was in the moment, right? So some people are saying in the live stream, I remember this story. I remember this story. So I think I've referenced it before. So what did you get? Because we had multiple sessions afterwards, because I think you came to realize that I think one of the good things that really came from this is beyond the friend zone issue and the issue with this woman. Basically, she tells you that, then you took kind of a bad approach to it, but you could have took any approach and still got rejected because you were friends for so long. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily, because a lot of people go, oh, I fucked up. Like I did it wrong. You could have still did everything Rico Suave, smooth as hell, and still she would have said maybe, yeah, I just want to be friends. Possible. Right? Yeah. Still possible. Yeah. But what came from this is that we got to a point where I'm like, hey, look, you just realized that you want to get back into dating. You want a woman. You've been a dormant volcano for long enough. And you want, and that I think came of it in our sessions. I was like, we don't need to work on getting this woman to change her mind about that statement of giving you a BJ one day. We need to get you back on deck to just date. Just start looking at dating dynamics, because what you've just realized is, you've been out of the game for a while and you don't want this to happen again, and you want to start dating some women again. So that's where I was wanting to ask you, from that point on in the sessions, what do you think you started to get from our sessions that helped you move forward from this?
Definitely what you just said about pointing that out, that I was ready to date again. And if you would have asked me that, I would say no. Like I would have been, I would have just wanted to go back to what I was doing because it was safer. And I was like, I'm concentrated on me and my business, and like it's safer. I don't have time for like things like this to like mess with me like personally and throw me off track. Like it's just too much. And so you pointing that out to me was huge, because I couldn't disagree with it. The way you pointed it out was so in depth and over multiple like sessions that we had talked, and so that was one huge one.
Okay.
I think that was the main one, I would say, was that realization that I would have never ever realized. And there was even a point where I thought maybe I'll just do a couple sessions with you and then just get over it, and then that's it, and just not date or try. That wasn't even on my mind when we were talking, you and I, about trying to date other people. It was just trying to figure out how to get over this, or how to maybe get her back, or not back, but how to get her, or like how can I this, or just walk.
Yeah, and so that reminds me of a few different things here. So one of the things I do in coaching sessions, and it doesn't get talked about, and Bud, who's on the line now, clarified it with me, is I will get into other things with people, like your upbringing, your past relationships. You had a really good relationship with a neighbor or something. Like things come up that are outside of the breakup, but everything cultivates who you are. Everything. And things are entangled with each other. And so when we were talking, I'll often ask, like, what was your prior relationship like? What was your upbringing like when you were a kid? Now, someone comes to me and they don't usually think like, oh, I'm going to go and talk to this guy about that stuff. Right? Like, I'm sure that wasn't on your mind, that we're not going to go there. We're just going to see if we can get this girl back. But
yeah, a whole like no contact thing, which everyone seems to talk about, but there's so much more than that.
Right. So this is an opportunity to untangle some other things. And because your specific situation and the way it went down, I don't think I don't think you were ready for getting into a relationship, because you were really pissed off actually for a moment. Like, you were pissed off. Like, she made that comment and then, like, just let it go. You're like, you don't do that. You were frustrated and upset. And so when we started talking about what I wanted you to do, and I think that you got to that point, was like, accept the fact that she wants to be friends. And then let's get into a mode where we can work on you understanding attraction, you pursuing other women. And by chance, if she finds out, she might come back around or something like that. But you can't continue to try to make this a bigger connection, because in her mind, you're friends. You've been friends for 4 years. She's comfortable with that. She likes that relationship. Even though she made a playful comment here or there, you weren't able to capitalize on it, and that's okay. It's completely okay, because a lot of times, especially business-wise, you're like, fuck, missed an opportunity. I fucked up. I fucked up, man. And really, what you want to do is go, okay, why did I mess up? Did I really mess up? And why am I so upset? Those are deeper questions. Then you can get to the bottom of that, because sometimes if it's just one person, like this woman here, she had some things going on in her life that wasn't the easiest woman to figure out either, right? She had just busted out of a relationship. She had a few different things going on. She had to stay with you. She had some money issues. You know what I mean? So it wasn't it wasn't all crystal clean on her end. I remember it wasn't like, oh, she's a great woman for you. She had some things going on. Right. So I'm looking at my notes real quick. So, like I said before, I talked about how attraction was, and then you started dating and pursuing women. So this was really neat, because we got to a point where I want to say that you kind of let go of pursuing her as a friend, and you actually basically told her, look, I can't be friends anymore. Right?
Yes, that was the only way I can move on, because I knew that if I accepted, like, which I was definitely grateful for, that she still wanted to be my friend. Mm-hmm. But I knew, I thought about it. I was like, I can't, because if I am and like just keep going, there's going to be a point where I'm going to try again. And it's just going to frustrate her, and it's not going to be good. It's just going to get worse, and we could end up really not being friends on worse terms. And by me, like, just bugging her about it, kind of thing. And mm-hmm. So I knew that, and I didn't want to do that to myself, because I was like, no, I don't want to waste time, and I don't want to do that to her. Like, she's already made her, she already told me no. And mm-hmm. So I just knew, I was like, it's just better for me. It's safer. It's like, just to avoid any of that, like, what if in my head, mm-hmm. Oh, like, she said something, does that, like, I don't even want that. And so it was easier for me to just, like, I have to cut ties and walk away.
Yeah, that was a big thing for you too, because you had to sacrifice a pretty good friendship, and you're the type of person that, is a good friend, I think, or you think of yourself that way. So, so you went from there, and then you read the books, and then we kept talking about it. And then when you started to like someone, or you started to want to date someone, I remember there was someone in between. I think someone else that you went to middle school with too. I think you said that she was in a relationship already, but you guys kind of flirted a little bit. So that was like
yeah.
I have a good memory, don't I, dude? I don't have any notes. I just fucking listen. So yeah, like, so nothing came of it, but you got some attention. I think she sent you some, like, pictures, and you guys kind of texted back and forth and considered meeting up. But she did have a boyfriend, or was even maybe married or something, which wasn't great for you, and you weren't really interested in. But just the attention, I think, was nice. And again, you kind of went into your business mode the way you were talking to her, because you would be like, oh, I said this. I go, you said that? Why'd you say that? Like, what you were doing is you were getting to the finish line before you were, having banter. Like, hey, let's just meet up at a room. And I was and so you were like, what's wrong with that? I need to be more direct. So you went 0 to 100, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not going to fall into the friends thing again, Max. So I'm just going to be like, hey, you want to get a room?
Yeah. That were like a lot. Yes, they were not just a selfie. Like,
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
not just a nice, pretty selfie. Like, there's a lot more.
She was sending pics, and you guys were going back and forth. It felt good to get that attention, but nothing hit off. And then she actually, I think, did the same thing. Like, actually, I don't look at you that way, or I don't want to do that. So you kind of got it. It wasn't the same exact situation, but it was kind of similar in the sense that nothing came of it. But then did you date a few other women, or did you end up meeting the next woman was the one that ended up being your girlfriend?
I went on a couple dates because I remember you're telling me good dates and bad dates. So I was like,
Yep.
all right. There was a couple of them I didn't want to go on, and then one date I actually was able to that I really wanted to go on, and that was okay, but she wasn't into it. So we just had the one date, and then but yes, the other two dates were hard, and I remember you telling me that good dates and bad dates, just get the like experience, and it'll help you flow.
Well, you got to go on bad dates to know good dates, and you got to go on bad dates, and you just have a story to tell afterwards. You know what I mean? It's like they're okay. They're not failures because you learn things along the way by interacting with women and flirting and banter that's useful for when you meet one that you like. So it just makes you more comfortable. So, and one of the things that I'm finding that this doesn't have to do necessarily with your story, but I would say it would definitely be a chapter in my book, is the ability to filter better. So that involves bad dates and you identifying this is a bad date, this is a bad connection. Doesn't mean you need to get up and walk out, but you're filtering out because so many people, oh, they're cool, they're all right. Like the first person that's attractive to mildly attractive that they have an okay connection with, they might just have a relationship with them, and it's not that good. It ends up being not that good because you should be excited. You should be like this person. There's something about that person on multiple levels that you're really connected, right? So having bad dates is absolutely part of the process. If you're not having bad dates, that means that you're not filtering. That means that you're accepting a wide range of different things about people, and eventually that's going to come back on you, because as a human being we have specific things we like, and if those things aren't there when we're dating, they're not going to be there later on. Sometimes people think like, oh yeah, I can change them or something like that. So bad dates are absolutely a part of the process, and having someone to talk to about the bad dates is good too, because then you don't feel like you failed. You feel like, oh shit, yeah, that was just, it wasn't me. I didn't fuck up.
Over like what happened in the bad dates with you, and it was like, I want to see if they were really like bad dates or if I was just kind of misreading things. And then, yeah, they were pretty bad. Like I was pretty on it. I remember one like had pictures when she was like exercising, and then I met her, and it was like she hadn't exercised and like just not taking care of herself, and there was a big difference. Mm-hmm. And I was already upset at that, like kind of the picture thing, because so I didn't like that. And then, but I was just in that mind frame that that having sessions with you kind of got me into just like good dates, bad dates, and then I just try to flow with it. And I was like, I'm just having a conversation with this person now, and then just being cool. And then I saw that help me with the good dates to learn how to just flow. Like, I don't have to like you said, just get up and walk out. Like, no, there's like an experience I can gain from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause I'm thinking back in the Rolodex from talking. I remember there was a couple of bad dates where you're like, yeah. And then she said this, or she said she didn't drink, or she didn't, and then you just were able to identify, yeah, it just wasn't good. It's so bad when people think like, oh, dating world's horrible, or dating apps are horrible. All women are like this, or all women are like that. They're just being lazy, to be quite frank. They're not willing to do the work in dating that involves process of elimination. And the pickier you are, might be better. One of my clients right now yesterday just texted me that he walked out on his date, and he's a really nice guy. So it must have been a lot. And I said, actually, process of elimination is very important. It is. It is. And the most important part of that is you realizing that you're not the bad one. It just was a bad connection. Just you guys weren't, because sometimes someone can be rude or they can be judgmental. Like, oh, you do that. Oh, you do this. It's important not to take that personal and just be like, yep, not dating her again. Not going out with her again. Dust. So eventually you met someone that you really liked through yoga, and which is something I often recommend, not just yoga, but the idea that something that you enjoy doing is a good place to meet women because you already have a common ground. So if you enjoy going to the gym, if you enjoy wine festivals, that's one of the examples actually in Model's book by Mark Manson. If you enjoy, go to places where you'll find like-minded women. So you do yoga regularly, and so you met her at this class, and you kind of had your eyes on her for a little while, I believe. And I believe if you didn't have those bad dates prior to and those other experiences, maybe you wouldn't have had the balls to ask her out. Is that correct?
Totally. And also something else a tip I remember that you gave me was just like, whatever it is, like when you're at the grocery store or whatever, whenever there's an opportunity, like if you see something nice on a woman, doesn't matter the woman, like start complimenting that. Like if you see some shoes and you're honestly like, hey, in your head, like, oh, those are cool, say it. Like, because you're being honest, like it's not you're trying to you're learning how to speak and how to give compliments. And so I was doing that to like every time I saw something that grabbed my eye. I never tried to focus on someone to find something, to compliment them. Anytime that it popped in my head, oh, that's a nice purse, I would say it. Like it would catch myself, oh, say it. And then I would catch myself and give that woman a compliment on the purse and just keep walking. And then they would love it and they would like brighten up, and it kind of made me feel good. And that was it. Like there was nothing more, and I was being honest. But also the dating apps. I got a few of my dates through the dating apps. And it was tough. I found that I kind of needed to have a more of a direct approach because for me, from my experience, I found people that are very wise with their words can like suck people in. And it's just like, that can be a different challenge and a different thing. And then also, is that same person you meet just because they're good on the keyboard and writing and maybe funny or,
it's unfortunately with dating apps, it makes it easier to meet large quantities, but it takes more sifting through for the gold nuggets, if that makes it's almost more work in the sense that old school, right? I mean, I'm 40, you're in your 30s, so before we had dating apps and whatnot, you'd meet someone from work, from school, or through friends, or your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like and those people that you would meet, I mean, okay, you could cold approach women in a mall or cold approach women at a bar or lounge. Okay. But a lot of times, people that have girlfriends or monogamous relationships, a lot of the times they met them through work, school, or like, mutual friends. And when you meet people like that, you know them a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you have a little base. You don't just see them in a picture and order them like it's Amazon. So I think that because it feels easier, and you're right too, because with Photoshop and words and all these other things, it's different. It's totally different. It doesn't mean though that you can't find a gem. It just means that you're probably gonna have to go out with 10 or 20 to find a gem. Whereas if you work in a pretty good environment or you live in a good city that has a lot of single people that vibe with you, then there's going to be an opportunity to meet some of those organic dates more often. But I think the dating app scene, you got to experience it and give it a chance. And if that really bothers you to do that, then it certainly prepares you, like in your case, where when you found someone at yoga that was a woman that you wanted to date, that it felt easier than if you just had been, that was the first woman you asked out, right? And that was my point with you about about getting going on, getting rejected, getting going on bad dates. And to come back, I'm glad you really brought up that compliment thing, because that's something I used to mention a lot and I haven't mentioned in a long time. And Rob IS, who's on the live stream, just said, never compliment the obvious, compliment the non-obvious. I've never used that statement, but I agree 100%. And I think that's kind of like what I told you. In other words, don't compliment, oh, you're beautiful, oh, you have beautiful blue eyes or something like that. Oh, nice watch or nice earrings or and it's true. We talked about this. Number one, it would have to be true, but it just got someone like yourself in the habit of saying something nice to a woman. And I think I told you, and I tell a lot of guys, this doesn't have to be exclusive to just good-looking women you want to date, because I've always practiced, like when I go to a coffee shop or cafe, even a woman I'm not attracted to, I'll give a compliment to, because it makes them feel good. And it was something when I worked in retail for years, when I was 18, 19 years old at a shoe salesman at a high-end store, I realized that being nice to people felt good. Like it actually, like what you just said, like a few times when you made those comments about someone's purse and they lit up, you're like, oh, that you could tell that it made them feel good, right? And it's not you like, oh, you look hot, man. Oh God.
No, and the majority of them were older women that were not like, no, you know, they were just not a woman that's like in my dating range. Like, you know, they were just way older than me. And like, I wasn't looking for that. Like, I just saw that and I was like, hey, that's nice. And I would throw that out there. And yeah, just, again, with exactly what you're saying, just getting that experience of doing that. And it does feel good because you see them light up and it's like, oh, that's awesome. You know?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I haven't talked about it in a long time. And the other part that does is it gives you confidence for when you do meet the woman that you want to date, to give her open compliment or interact and feel good about it, and you're not trying. See, because when you give that compliment to the older woman you're not interested, you're not really trying to get a reaction, because you don't have any expectation. You're like, I don't want to date her. I just want to say something nice, and then you see the result, and you're like, oh shit, okay, cool. So thanks for bringing that up. So you end up zeroing in, so to say, about this. And this is what's cool when you start getting back into the dating world. You start to filter for what you want. And like I said, because you were so involved in yoga, I thought that would be a good place for you to meet women, because there's a lot of women there that are in good shape and share your values. So you ended up meeting this woman, and I remember that you guys had flirted a little bit, and you had come back and forth with me about, you know, what do you think about this? And then you finally just asked her out, correct? Like you.
Yeah. Again, too, I just kind of wanted to back up on the
Sure.
apps thing, is that you had mentioned, like, keep doing the apps. If you can do a couple more, add them on. And then I did that because at that moment I could do that. I could get a couple more apps. So I think I was doing like 3 or 4 different apps. And then I realized for me, I felt more comfortable. You know what? Like, I feel more comfortable going up to a woman. This whole thing that I have to have these like pictures that are supposed to be like perfect, but at the same time not perfect, to where they're not like a model's shoot, but they're also perfectly not perfect. So it's like, it was too much. Like, you have to have the correct picture and the right word. It was like, this is not me. Like, I'll do it, and I did it. But going up to a person and talking to them, and them seeing my whole, like, how I am as a person, that to me, I felt more better about and more confident in doing. And I said, I have way better chances of this than someone just looking at my pictures and looking at what I'm writing them and seeing if they want to respond. And I did. Even the rejections, it felt okay. It felt better than apps for me. And so, yes, I did end up just like approaching. She was like the 3rd or 4th woman that I asked out on a date, because at that point I had just built it up. Like,
well, that's interesting, because you're saying that this is beautiful, because everyone that complains about dating apps acts like there's not an alternative. So you're saying, instead of, dating apps suck. Yeah, dating apps, they weren't for me, is a better way to put it, because I don't like to do pictures. So that reinforced to you, okay, well then I'm going to start asking women out. And it's not going to be that. It's if that's my alternative to dating apps, I'd much rather do that. So that kind of made it easier. So that's pretty cool that but you had to do the dating apps first to realize that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like instead of, because that's part of the process of what I call a discovery mission. Well, do the dating apps, see what happens. And then you are like, I really don't like it. But instead of bitching about it and saying how shitty they are and how all women in California are snobby and full of shit, like this is what everyone does now. It's like, that's a really easy way to bail. You know what I mean? It's like, on your end, you're like, you know what then? If I'm not going to do the dating apps, I'm going to start approaching more. Go for you. Go for you. Like, you're like, I'd rather get rejected to my face than deal with the back and forth of texting.
I still kept the dating apps. I mean, that was your recommendation too, and I did. I was doing both, but I felt so much more comfort in approaching a woman.
Well, that's important. Like I said, I've had other clients do the same thing. It's all cultivating towards when you do meet one that's good. And that's why the bad dates are important. And these experiences where you get rejected and even the friend zone situation that was a bit painful, it all had to happen for you to get to the point where and correct me if I'm wrong, the woman that you met through yoga probably, I don't want to speak for you, was a better catch than the woman that you originally liked that you got friend zoned.
Yes.
That was quick. So, you know what I mean? Like if you had to compare the two, you'd be like, oh, hands down. Like I ended up with a better woman. That's the beautiful part, is that when you went into the dating and you looked at the couple of the books and then talked to me regularly, because like I said, that's a big one. Guys will settle for a bad match, women too, and then they'll think, oh, I don't know what this person's problem is. No, that was your fault from the get-go. You filtered bad. You settled for someone. You didn't get out of a bad relationship. You know, when you went on a first, second date and you thought, oh, they're cute, I'll still go out with them. That's the problem. So I'm just looking at my notes here. So you eventually got with the woman from yoga and lived happily ever after. or we won't go deep into that because that's a current relationship now. But things went well. You dated. You made moves. And basically, I think he's comfortable talking about this, but 11 years out of the dating game, 11 years away from full-on intimacy, and he was able to get a really good catch and reacquaint himself with intimacy and love and care. And I think that that's incredible. You know, like to think that you were out of the game for that long. But like I had said earlier, part of the process in our coaching sessions was realizing that, you know, this wasn't just about you not being good with women or you just not wanting to date. It was a culmination of having a battle with drug problems. And I'm going to circle back at this point to something that I found to be very polarizing in our live coaching session that I thought was a turning point for me, and something that I thought maybe had affected your confidence. And when I say your confidence, I thought you're a confident individual, especially with your business, in the sense of what you've done with your business life, in the sense of what you've done with your fitness and taking care of your body. But obviously, you know, your confidence with women, and you knew this, wasn't up to where you wanted it to be. And so when we got into a talk and I asked him about his first relationship, can you tell me a little bit about that first relationship?
Yeah, this was, I was 17 and she was 18. Mm-hmm. And this is before my fiance. And geez, how did we meet? I think a friend, my brother's friend, her sister. It was her sister. And so we met, and this is kind of sticking out now to me. We met at a show, and you know, there's drinking and bands playing, so that has a lot to the type of person you meet too, I guess, kind of in the
Absolutely.
models books.
Yeah.
And so we dated maybe like, don't know, for a half a year, but that was my first real relationship. And then she had met someone else. She cheated on me and just met someone else. And then I was like devastated and didn't think I could meet someone else again. But she was, let me see, she wasn't a drug addict, but she was had a lot of very difficult problems with their family that definitely, and she was still very young too. She was 18. So sometimes after we broke up, like years after, she would like come to my house like randomly, and like I kind of felt really bad for her because I could see that she wasn't doing good. But yeah, it just led to a lot of different crazy little episodes that she would just pop up once in a while or talk to my cousin about me. And my cousin, you know, kind of like, why is she asking me about you still? Isn't that like 6 years ago, like 5 years ago? And but yes, that was my first real relationship. It was not the greatest. And unfortunately, it was a lot like how my parents were too in their like bad toxic relationship. That's for some reason I found that without looking for it.
If I can interject, which was the relationship that? So you had a relationship, because I think I got mixed up here. My memory's not as perfect as I think it is. So there was one more relationship after this that was for a few years, though, right?
Yes, the one after her was my fiance, and that's the one.
Okay, I somehow thought that was your first relationship. Okay, and that was the one that was very toxic and ended really bad, correctly?
Yes.
Or correct, excuse me. Can we let's talk about that one. So when did that start?
That started in my early 20s. Actually, no, I was about 19. And then she was about 5 years older than me. And so the same thing, we met at a show, drinking and partying, I'll say. And we ended up living together, and she became my fiance. And then, yes, her background as well. Her father was like the same as my type of father. And eventually we got into a lot of arguments and a lot of too much arguing and fighting, and I was just very toxic. And again, it was the same thing like the other relationship too. It was like just like my parents, and again, I wasn't looking for that. And what
would you mean, if I may ask, like just like your parents? What do you mean by that?
Toxic, like just very fighting and arguing. Like
what would you be fighting about? Everything and anything, petty shit, or specific things like jealousy or
petty stuff, anything and everything.
Okay.
We're like smoking weed and drinking, and like, you know, we're young and just like stupid. I mean, I can, you know, like just over stupid things when I look back at it.
Okay.
And
just fighting for sport. So
pretty much, yeah.
Because it's amazing that there's some people that fight for sport. They enjoy it. They enjoy picking a fight and making up, and that's part of the process of their relationships. And how many years were you with her?
I believe it was 6.
Oh shit, I didn't know it was that long. I forgot. So this to me was a turning point when I talked to you about the time that you finally did break up. Do you remember that you were in a car?
Yes.
Is that okay to talk about?
Sure. I mean,
because to me this was like really, basically, if I remember correctly, you were fighting.
Yes.
What were you guys fighting about, or was it just a petty fight?
It was a petty fight again, and then I just went quiet because I didn't want to continue fighting, and she still arguing and fighting, like, you know, with me. And because I was quiet, it really got her mad to the point where she decided to get physical because I wasn't doing anything, and because
she
I was
smacked
quiet.
You, right, while you were driving.
Yes.
Right. I'm sorry, but like, to me, when you told me that, I was like, gee, while you were driving, she smacked you. And
well, close fisted, like hammer fist to like a side shot.
Right. And also said nobody likes you. Is that correct?
Yes. Eventually, when we got back home, we were arguing more about it, and then yeah, that's when she said, nobody likes you and I hate you.
And but I remember when we had the session and you revealed that, I said, that's a huge statement from someone you love and care about, even if it's heat of the moment. And I think that affected you that moment. Is that correct?
I didn't realize it, but yes, it stuck with me.
Because
at the moment, it didn't.
Because in the years after that breakup, I feel like part of the reason you were out of the game for 11 years was partly because of you were with that woman for 6 years, and what she said to you, as simple as it sounds, is pretty bad, right? And do you think there's a part of you that believed her?
Yes, totally.
See,
I agreed with it after. Yeah, like that's why I can just be alone and not bother anybody and just do my own thing.
Because to me, as your coach, that was like a turning point. When I heard you tell me that, I said, okay, this is what's been keeping you on the sidelines. And
right.
Because it's someone that you, like I said, you cared about so much. Like to say nobody likes you and I hate you. And pretty soon after that is when you broke up, correct?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
And so you never got reconciled from those comments. So it's really important when I talk to someone about a breakup, and I hammer the tell me your story. If you're left with those kind of things, a punch in the face and I hate you and nobody likes you with a certain tone, that's tough in your early 20s, man. From someone that you've been with 6 years that you were going to marry, that's tough. Right. You put that to the side, and then I would say you said you had another couple years of drugs, and then you went about how many years after you broke up with her did you go clean?
Wow. Jeez. I think we broke up in 2008, I think it was, or 9. And because after we officially broke up, we were still connected by a dog I had. So we would see each other, and then sometimes we would hang out. So it was kind of a slow split up. So from 2008-9 till 2014 is when I got sober.
Mm-hmm. What provoked you to get sober, if I may ask?
When I turned 29, I woke up hungover. I usually go to eat dinner or lunch with my mom on my birthday or her birthday. And then so I was so hungover, I couldn't do it. So I had to cancel. I felt terrible about that. But then for some reason, when I turned 29, I was just like, geez, I wasted all of my 20s. And I don't have any more 20s left. Now it's this whole time it's been this party. And then now it's in increments of 10. In 10 years, I'm going to be 40, and then that just really struck me, my age thing and how I could not care because I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And it took that point when I was 29. I was like, okay, I think I'm done. That was my rock bottom moment, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. So do you believe that you needed these years of not dating? So you had 11 years of being celibate and out of the dating game. Do you believe you needed those years to heal?
Definitely.
Okay.
I wasn't happy, looking in the mirror. I wasn't happy,
mm-hmm.
With the clothes I had on. I definitely wanted to get back into shape, where I was when I was 18. And that was the main thing. But I also wanted to be happy, not because I wanted to go on a date and get healthy. I just remember when I was 18 and working out, I was happy. I remember that feeling, and I wanted that back. And I even remember I was like, I don't care if I meet you. I can be alone still. I just want to feel good, with myself. Mm-hmm. And so that's what made me just start working out slowly and just adding on to that. Just trying to do for me, not for anybody else, or trying to get a date. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't think that is, because you're still.
I think everyone has their own journey. And one of the things I come back with you is, and we're not going to get into the details, and you've kind of vaguely mentioned your childhood, but your parents were both drug addicts, correct?
Yes.
And your father was in and out of jail often.
Yeah.
And kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I don't remember it, you said your dad was kind of a con artist, not a con artist, but very manipulative.
Yes, people that are in and out of jail have a different sort of like mind, the way they work.
Right.
Especially jail.
I've had
So,
relatives that are like that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so he's been like that since he was a young kid in and out of jail. So he had that, and then I learned what that was by experiencing it firsthand with him. And yes, the drugs and the abuse. He never abused me, mainly because I know now, because he was gone for so many years. So when he did come back, he knew that if he abused me, my mom would split, but my mom would take the abuse and wouldn't split. So he was always nice to me to kind of manipulate her into not leaving. Like, so he would be cool to me, you know, and he would mess with me mentally more, never physically. But now I see that, how he used me to hang on to my mom.
So the reason why I'm bringing this up to the people in the live stream is because I've realized this being a coach and talking to different people is that, you know, you hear someone go, oh, I haven't dated in 11 years. And you go, oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong with this person? They just need to get some confidence, or they just need to go to the gym, or they just need to find, the favorite one is find your purpose. You know, it's like if you do any self-improvement, it's like, you got to find your purpose, man. It's so much deeper. It's so much fucking deeper. When I talk to people like yourself and connecting with you and being able to just listen to you and understand, like, it's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, you're at a lack of confidence with dating, and you haven't been in the game for a while, but it's okay. But this wasn't all your fault. You didn't get to choose who your parents were. You weren't born this way. You had a tough model to follow when you were a kid, and then you had a tough couple of relationships that you didn't even realize that you were modeling after your parents in some ways. You didn't even realize it, but you said it, right? You're like, we were just fighting over, and immediately you were like, it was petty stuff. And so the growth, because I remember by the time you got to me, I was surprised, because I was like, damn, man, you seem like you got your business life together. You know, your fitness, your health, you seem very disciplined about stuff. And
I didn't even realize it was all this that affected, one, me not wanting to like date anybody even before the zone thing, and then after, just like the like how to talk to women. I didn't know that all this stuff affected that, all these things with women. Like, I didn't know that. And then when I went to you about the whole friend zone thing, it was like, what do I do? Do I play this whole like no contact? Like, if that doesn't, you know, like trying to dissect that. Like, if that doesn't work, well, what if it does work? And like, there was so much more beyond that. Didn't realize until we were doing the sessions that it was like, really? Like, that has to do with how upset I got over rejection, like how I don't want to go out with anybody. Like, really? And then going back to what my my ex told me, that everyone hates you and nobody likes you.
Oh man, when you told me that statement, it gave me chills, because I said, she said that to you? That, you know what I mean? And well, you mix in getting punched in the face by your girlfriend while you're driving, and you mix in with, you know, the final big fight that, and someone says, nobody likes you, I hate you, and it's the person that you love the most in the world. Because you don't have I'm sorry for speaking, tell me, your relationship with your mom's a bit fractured, your relationship with your dad's a bit fractured, so your girlfriends are, if you're going to marry her, this is the pinnacle person in your life. For her, right? Like, for her to say that to you, I absolutely think carried with you. And I just think it's amazing, though, that you, and I really do think when you got to me in this friend zone thing, the friend zone thing, that was like the tip of the iceberg. That was just your subconscious saying, hey man, it's time. I want to date again. You got your shit together, man. Like, you got your, you know, like, you're taking care of yourself now. I want to date again. It didn't work out with the woman that you wanted to, but that whole situation had to happen. And like I said, that's what that was. Because if that would have happened, I don't know, 3 or 4 years earlier, well, let's just say this: it took 4 years later from being friends. You just weren't ready. So that's what happened. All right. So go ahead.
The woman I'm right now that I'm in love with, that I'm having an amazing relationship with right now.
Well, and it's a better match too. That's what's so amazing that I'm realizing in being a coach is a lot of times we get stuck. I don't believe in a soulmate, but I do believe that if you want to believe in soulmates with an S, or you want to believe in someone being a really good match for you, there's more than one out there, but they're still hard to find. And a lot of times we're settling for someone we're just attracted to, or we kind of have a connection. And now you can look back and go, yeah, I'm in a much better relationship than that girl that I was friends with. And there's a reason I didn't move for 4 years on her. There's a reason. There were some things there that you didn't like, that you weren't. Because if it would have been strong, hardcore attraction, dude, 6 months or a year and you'd been like jumping at the bit. You know what I mean? You would have been. So, okay. So I'm going to shift into some rapid fire questions. I kind of got this from the Tim Ferriss podcast. I'm going to ask you some questions that are quick. Some are maybe longer, and some of them might be curveballs. You just answer whatever you think or comes to your mind. And if you find one of the questions, I don't know, Mac, we can come back to it, or we can just skip it. Is that cool?
Yes.
Cool. What would you put on a billboard if you could put anything?
We'll come back to that one.
All right. Anyone, and also on the live stream right now, we got 9 on deck, 8 likes. I appreciate you staying on with this interview of sorts. Please feel free to answer these questions in the live stream also, because these aren't exclusive to Bud. What was the greatest moment in your life, Bud?
Growing up on my grandfather's ranch.
Cool, man. Was there a lot of wildlife?
It was in LA. It was one of the last ranches in West Los Angeles. So
was it cattle?
He had animals and stuff, but it was a mix of like like now, like health food, like certain health food stores. Like he had like organic produce back then, like sold on his ranch, and with farm animals. So it was a mix of a market and farm animals. So yeah, it was a really cool place to grow up.
That's pretty cool.
The last one out here.
How long did you live there?
Probably from 3 years old until I was 13.
Oh, okay. 14. So those are formative years. Shit, man. Do you think you'd ever want to get a ranch when you're older and you're a highly successful businessman?
No, I definitely wouldn't.
You had your share at 3 to 13.
It was fun and everything, and yeah, that's a whole different type of lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay, next question. What was a major turning point in your life that felt like a crisis at first, but then turned into a blessing in disguise?
Sobriety.
So that when we talked about that time when you're 29 and you had that kind of turning point where you kind of felt bad about yourself and you wasted your 20s, and then it turned into, okay. What's the best advice you ever got about dating or courting women?
I would say don't tell her you like her, show it.
Okay. What's the best advice you've gotten about business?
I would say, not in these words, but how I was showed is to believe in myself. I know that sounds simple and kind of
no.
There is an element of you have to now that I do remember, someone in business, an older gentleman, did tell me, which kind of sums this up. He told me, remember this, and he's an old man, like in his 80s, and he told me this: if it is to be, it is up to me. And that was really cool. So.
I see what you mean, because a lot of times we're looking for the crutch or the golden opportunity, but it kind of translates to make it happen yourself, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
And sometimes we put like restraints on ourselves, like, oh, I have to do this before I do that. And
I do that. I do that.
Just have to for it.
Yeah, I do that for sure. That's interesting. I like that quote. If you could choose only 5 people to be a part of your regular inner circle, who would they be? Could be anyone. Could be famous people. You could say 3 if you can't come up with 5.
Albert Einstein.
That's a good one.
This is a tricky one. Wow. I'm kind of drawing a blank on that one. Maybe we can come back.
We can come back. That's okay. Because 5, I just wrote these questions quick, so 5 can be a lot for some people. What's your number 1 goal you have in life right now?
Success, but having a balance in the success, like being able to balance all that.
What would success be?
Getting where I want to with my business right now.
Okay.
Right now I'm in a lot of different things that are kind of make it or break it.
Okay. If you were granted 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
Wow. Geez,
Feel free to answer in the live stream. I think it's an interesting question. I ask myself it sometimes. You think to yourself, what do you really want?
Yeah. And it's definitely more tough when I'm on the spotlight. Like, geez, what would I want? Health. I would think that one is a big one. You know, as my neighbor would tell me, your health is your wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's a huge one. How about just that? I'll go with just health.
No problem. Health 3 times. What advice would you give someone if they are having relationship issues?
Give Mac a call.
Yep, I was hoping for that one. You nailed it. What was a turning point for you in feeling more confident with women?
Just going for it and learning that in the models book, like kind of just learning that who you are is good enough. You don't have to pretend to try to be something else. Or I mean, like, it's obvious, but sometimes for me, I didn't realize that. Like, I'm not trying to be someone else, you know, but the way I would approach or the way I would think, oh yeah, maybe I would say this to that person. And until I spoke to you in the whole models book, and it's like, no, it's just like you kind of learn that there is a way that you can be yourself and find like people, you know? And I thought that was really a great thing, like a really great aspect.
I think that's great that you mentioned that, because there's so much out there on YouTube and movies about being slick and being alpha and being a certain way. And I think that there is a place for that. I think that's why I recommend people read 3 or 4 different books. But when you come back to it, especially when you're at a point where, you know, you've been through so much in your life, you personally, with your business and your sobriety, a couple bad relationships, a tough childhood, and you're at your age now in your 30s where you like where you're at. I think you like where you're headed. You like a lot of the things that you've done for yourself. And it's important to go, you know what? I don't need to change too much. I might need to change my approach on a few different things, but I don't need to like change who I am. So I think that's good that you mentioned that. I like that. Just the last one. What would you recommend someone do if they got friend zoned?
I would say accept it. Don't, because then, you know, definitely, you know, have some sessions with you, but don't say too much. Once you find out your friend zone, don't overdo it. Don't say anything. Just let it go and back up, like, you know, and just
take 2 steps back rather than try to force it. Correct.
Right, because that can be crucial, I think, to maybe. I don't know. That's something that you would have a session with, and because that's what.
No, I agree.
With that, you know,
I agree.
exactly
I think that's what
point.
you went in your route too. Is like I was like, take 2 steps back rather than trying to force this, right? Yeah.
And I had already taken too many steps forward.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying definitely stop right there and talk to the coach.
Do you, I just want to say thank you because it's been an hour and a half to give your time today. Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, just on that billboard thing, I guess I would say, keep working out because it's really definitely good for your mind.
It's at the core of everything, right?
Yeah,
I
it
mean, because
really
it's
is.
it's really
No matter what it is.
it's mental. It's like people say, "Oh, well, why would you exercise so much?" I said, "Because it's more for mental than it
Yeah.
is for just to look good, which is a bonus." So, all right, I'm gonna let you have your evening. Like I said again, I appreciate it again. Maybe I think this went pretty well, and I appreciate you sharing so much about our sessions and some personal things. And I hope that it helps some people on the channel, and that I'm really happy for you at where you're at right now. And the fact that I talked to you about this in our last session, that I'm going to make a concerted effort, because I have clients like yourself that we've got a pretty deep connection, that we can talk about more things than just breakups, because you're at a point now where you don't need to talk about that.
Right. And
we
yeah.
we
I
have
feel like talking to you though. Like it
Yeah.
helps a lot. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So where I'm going with this is, that I'm opening up the floodgates for past clients, that if you want to talk to me about other things and have more of a regular relationship where we talk once or twice a month, I'm going to be offering a little bit of a discount to past clients for that. And I'm going to be monitoring how it helps them, because I think it's important to have someone to talk to regularly right now. I told Bud this, that I'm just noticing there's a lot of lonely people. I'm not saying this about you individually, but we, especially in American culture, I think families are really scattered, and having a go-to person that's not one of your buddies or your colleagues or something to talk to, whether that's your therapist or coach, and it's not me. I think there's a lot of value in talking to someone at least once a month, and just talking about your shit. I'm sorry to use that word, but just your crap that's floating around, because it does affect your relationship. Actually, it bleeds over into that. So,
And even the small stuff. When I reached folk recently, it was little things that could have, been bigger, but it was like, because, we're all at home more, and just, so it definitely helped, kind of, instead of like waiting till something happens and I reach out to you, it's like, no, in that moment, because then it helped me, like, oh wow, I'm like over like thinking this way too much. I need to, and then you were able to like give me guidance and like feedback of like, yeah, like you're just looking at it the wrong way. And it actually helped me in other like conversations that I had with my girlfriend recently, like remembering that, like, oh, like don't be so like thinking about things, overthinking things too much, and just having that with you, being able to have that is helping that all along the way too, with any issues I have, or whatever it may be with business or work. Yeah. So it, like you just said, so it doesn't pour over into the relationship where it shouldn't be.
Well,
and that happens so easy too.
It does. And like I said, it's a privilege from my end to now have a file on you. So like I said, with the memory thing and knowing your background, it really helps, because when we talk, I can reference things that I know about you that are relevant, that might be related, and it's not uncomfortable because you don't have to bring it up. I know that, you know what I mean? So this is where I'm going to be going with my coaching clientele in the future. I'm really going to make an effort to cultivate the relationships with past clients into being not the life coach, but coach for life. So this is where I'm going with it. I just want to say thank you for your time, Bud, and we'll be in contact again, and have a good evening.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, Bud. Thanks. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, folks, from the live stream, I know that was a long one. Appreciate you hanging in there. If you folks have any questions, friend zone, re-entering the dating game, or anything else, I do have some juice today. It is 12:41 p.m. where I am in Phuket, Thailand. Just posted a couple beautiful photos from on my Instagram. If you're on my Instagram, it's Coach Mac McCarthy. If you have any questions, like I said, these interviews are maybe long-winded for some of you out there, but yeah, this is where I'm headed. I'm gonna be following up with a lot of prior clients, and anyone that wants to come on the live stream. I want more callers, so I like talking like this. So if any of you want to book a time to come on and talk about some kind of a topic, we don't have to do an interview like we just did with Bud, but we could talk about some things. Sabina, G Money, Rob, Derek D, Elena P. You guys are welcome if you want to get your vocalized on the live stream. You are welcome. In Thailand, we would say Yin Di, which means welcome. So, Charles from DC, if you're still on deck, let me know if you got any flocks. Let me know if you're still on deck, if you were able to listen to this whole thing. Truth of Love, Mr. Clutch. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Congratulations. Angel Jimenez. That's a smoke bomb move. You don't kill it. Okay. Who's on the phone with Mac? It's a past client. And I don't even like red sauce. You can't negotiate genuine desire. That's the truth, G Money. I missed you, bud. We're back. I remember this story. Okay. It was a shit test. Mac remembers everything. It's a gift and a curse, I suppose. You know when you have a really good memory, though, is like you meet people that are business people and they tell you numbers. Because I'll remember numbers really well. Like they'll say, oh, yeah, I'm going to give 50%. And the next time you see them, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to give you 30%. And you're like, oh, I don't remember saying 50%. And maybe get your opinion on the new dude. Okay, so let's see here. Women have boyfriends and girlfriends. If you're not hooking up with her, you're her girlfriend. I believe that you can have a monogamous friendship with a woman if you're not attracted to her. I had a bad habit of creating a fight to see if a person cares. Very toxic. G Money, you probably learned that from someone. That's probably something that your parents did. That's something, if you ever want to do hypnotherapy, I could help you with. It's a new thing I'm offering on the new website. Yeah, I have a crazy ego, not going to lie. My friends have noticed it. How does it affect you, G Money? If you don't do the inner work until the soil of your soul, whatever you run from, you'll only run into in a different form. Same conflict in a different costume, because wherever you go, take your demons with you. Same devils, different levels. I've never heard same devils, different levels. Conference call? I'd maybe do that on a private thing. God bless you, Mac. Well, God bless you too, G Money. God bless everyone. Anyone want to comment if they've been here the whole time on that interview? Is that something that was too long-winded? Did you enjoy listening to it? I'm going to be following up with some clients outside of just this one. But that was one of my clients that we've built a really good connection. And he actually wanted to come on. And you know what? I mean, it takes, to mention some of the things that he's talking about being celibate for 11 years, about basically being friend zoned from a woman of 4 years, and getting rejected afterwards. There's a lot of people out there that go, "Oh God, how could that happen?" And they're there's a path towards that has nothing to do with someone just being bad with women or not on their purpose. It's way deeper and way more intricate. And that's why when you're hitting roadblocks and when you're getting results that you're not happy with, get a coach, get a therapist, do some hypnotherapy, start doing some things. Start trying some things, some psychological tricks, because you can fix these things. But a lot of it is tied to your childhood and your prior relationships and experiences with that. And you got to disentangle those things and you'll get better. Jen, how you doing, hon? You are late to the party. It was a good call today. A really good call. Clutch, because you're still on deck, do you want to call in for a 20-minute so I can make 2 hours, or are you okay? You had asked earlier that you wanted to try some equipment out. Yes, call in for 20 minutes. Oh, there he is. There he is. Speak of the devil. He said, I'm medium energy. Well, I'm maximum, but I still got to go eat soon. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Alive and well.
That's awesome.
I feel great after the detox. The detox.
Yeah.
The detox. Did I talk to you since then?
You told me it was finishing, and I warned you, be careful you don't crash.
Oh no, I didn't crash. I went into a limitless mode for like 2 days. I felt like I could take on the world, man. It was like, oh my goodness. I felt so good.
That's awesome.
Because of I didn't feel good during the detox though. It wasn't a good like some of these detox people are like, oh, your energy levels will level off and you'll start to feel better. Not me. Like week 3, I felt like I was 90 getting out of bed. I was like, I go hiking. I'm pretty active and stuff. I was walking the beach. Like I could barely get up the beach. I was like, this can't be right. It didn't have enough carbohydrates in it, I think, or something. So I wouldn't do that detox again. But the feeling of no sugar, no coffee, no alcohol didn't bother me because I have beers and stuff, but I don't drink regularly. So that didn't bother me too much. I didn't think no sugar would bother me, but I think I eat more sugar and food than I believe I do. And then the coffee's what I missed. I missed. And I don't drink coffee all day. I just drink it in the morning. But yeah, mood wise. So then the funny thing is the first day I came out of the detox, I had like 5 tacos, like 3 croissants, like right off the deck. And then I
didn't crash, to be honest.
And then I had an Americano like at 2 p.m. And from 2 p.m. to like 3 a.m. that night, I was just, when you have your first coffee of the day, you get like a 10-minute like pleasurable rush or like a nice feeling if you drink coffee.
I actually don't drink coffee.
So well, you drink Coke, right?
I drink Coke. Yeah, that's the one habit I.
Do you get like a
this is?
Do you get like a pleasure rush from that?
Not really. It's more of the thing with Coke is that for me, and this is the one thing I usually tackle when I go through these cycles where like I'll gain weight for 6 months and then I'll lose it all in 6 months and the cycle repeats. It has to do with the fact that it was my pleasure food at home growing up. So usually when mom was like screaming or like I just wanted to be alone, like it was my comfort. So basically, whenever I quit it, that's the one thing I have to get past, which is getting over that habitual habit.
What's funny about soft, because you're just Coca-Cola or soft drinks in general?
I'm mostly a Pepsi guy when I drink it.
Oh,
but
okay.
For the most part, it's just like
whatever happened to Pepsi Clear? Remember Pepsi Clear?
Yeah, or you mean Crystal Pepsi?
Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff tasted nasty. That was like tonic water.
Yeah. I remember as kids we got that. Like I was like in 7th grade and we rented movies and it was like we got Crystal Clear Pepsi. It was like the coolest thing. But one of the reasons this is kind of funny because some people when their parents wouldn't allow them any sugar or whatnot. Like my mom was like, get any cereal you want. We drank Kool-Aid and we scooped like white pure sugar into the bowl since I was like 5 years old, and then soda pop would be like from like 2 liters all in the pantry and stuff like. So friends would always come over and be like, oh my God. So I was never neglected of it. But the funny thing is I never overdrank it because it was always available. And then when I was about 18 or 19, I actually started getting acne real bad. I got acne late. And I went to a dermatologist, and I remember just being like, just tell me what to do. Like, please. And he was like, well, do you drink soft drinks? And I was like, yeah, I drink like 1 or 2 sodas a day. And he's like, well, that's one of the things that you should cut right away. And I never drank them again because I associated it with bad skin. So I don't even know if it helped or not. But like that list that he gave me that day, I followed it because I was so desperate to get rid of the pimples. So, it was just like, and then years later, if someone gives me a Coke or something, it just tastes like sugar water because I don't drink it at all. So,
there's definitely a difference, like where you get the Coke as well. So,
yeah.
like it sounds like you're talking about a drug, but like there is a big difference between Mexican Coke and like American Coke. So, like for me, I just try to avoid it. At least, especially the American one. Like, the American one is so bad for you. Like high processed glucose. It's just
Gross.
Like might as well just drink poison straight from the bottle.
Gross.
But for the most part, it should be fun. But yeah, no. The reason I talked about the crash was because I remember specifically in university there was like a 3-month detox I did, and I went 100 days without having any like excessive forms of sugar. And right at the end of this detox, I had a major essay due for school. And I said, well, I need to stay up all night and do an all-nighter. Screw it. I'm just going to go to like the corner store and get like one of those like Mountain Dew like energy drinks, those tall cans that existed.
Yeah, sure.
Back then.
Mountain Dew.
And I ended up drinking the whole thing. And like, I literally had a mental breakdown because it was just such a hard rush. And I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. And like I had a bit of a panic attack, and I was just like, what happened the next day? And my buddy just saw me, and he's like, well, you haven't been eating caffeine or sugar for like the last 3 months, and you decided to like get the highest concentration possible.
I was going to say Mountain Dew's one of the worst ones, I think, right?
Well, it wasn't just a regular Mountain Dew. It was Mountain Dew energy drink.
Oh, gross.
So it was that much worse. And, this is why I told you, I'm like, just be careful with that. But,
yeah, no, I just had an Americano, like a regular one, and that was it. But from 2 p.m. to like 3 a.m., I was lit up. It was like limitless. My mind felt so clear and clean, and I was just like, oh.
And then you ran for office, and like you blackmailed.
I just was like, oh my goodness, like this detox. Like it was almost like being in a prison camp. I know that would, that's not fair to people that are actually in prison camps, but it was like, my energy levels were just so low. I was supposed to do it for a month, and I just bailed at 20, 21 days. I'm like, this is enough. This isn't fucking normal. This is like, I've done enough. This is like, I'm getting sad. I'm getting depressed. I was like, I need to just eat food.
Well, it's totally normal. It's totally normal. Like, I found that when I've done it about, I think, 3 times in my life. After the first month, you start normalizing again. But it's a struggle for the first 3 weeks, for sure. For sure.
Wow. Well, it was enough. The great thing is I've told people that mentally, I felt really good after, because when I came out of it, it wasn't so much just physically, but like mentally, I felt like, oh my God, I got my brain back. Like I got my feelings back. I didn't realize there's so much pleasure from food. Like mentally, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like resurrection. It was.
Well, definitely.
It was. I would definitely do something again. I wouldn't do the same exact one, but I'd probably do shorter. I'd probably, do something that's not 3 weeks or a month, because I definitely not trying to lose weight. What's that?
I would actually say do it longer, because the problem is that when you finished at the climax of the withdrawal, right? Like had you gone for another 2 weeks, I think you would have been fine. but it's just the case for the first 21 days. And like, I specifically remember this because I've done this 3 times. The 21st day is usually the hardest because you're so tempted, like your body's craving.
That's
like,
when I broke, dude.
yeah. Like it's the easiest form of energy your body can consume, right? So like your body craves like no tomorrow.
Oh man. Well, I'll see I'll see if the spirit moves me in the future. So, what did you think about this this call with this past client?
I don't know Bud, and he sounds like a very genuine guy. But I found myself screaming no at the monitor. Like I was multitasking hearing you guys talk, but like when you had mentioned sending the email, I'm like, oh no.
The what?
It's just a case of when he had mentioned he had sent the email.
Oh, okay.
Talking about, or was it an email or a phone call? Sorry, I just split there.
I believe I believe he first made a phone call because it was recommended by a lady friend of his. So and when he followed up with an email. He followed up with an email, and both of them, by the time he had gotten to me, I had said, first of all, what did you write? Because let's unpack that, because that's important to him. It's important to someone, even if it wasn't the right move. You still want to hear what you wrote. And like he even, what was interesting, like I said, he's a businessman. He does a lot of reading of lawyer documents, and it was written that way. It was like, look, you said, and it was, and he immediately got it when I told him, like, you're writing this like you're talking to a business person. I'm like, there's no feelings involved, there's no emotion involved, there's no banter or playfulness. It's more like, hey, you said this, you should do this. You shouldn't say things like that if you don't mean them. And so when he came to me, it was a perfect time because he didn't realize it. And when we unpacked it, he's like, oh shit, I can see what you mean. Like literally. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing with attraction. Like attraction's not a logic-based exercise. So like a lot of guys do this, and to a certain extent, certain women do. But men especially if they're lacking that practice in building attraction. Like part of that practice is the mystery behind it, right? Like, it's cat string theory 101. It's just, you want to be reachable, but not too reachable. And like, the thing is, like, especially in Hollywood, there's like this notion of, you lay your cards on the table and the guy's making himself vulnerable and the girl falls for him at the airport, as she's leaving to like move away to Europe or some crap like that. It rarely ever happens like that. Instead, what tends to happen, and you kind of touched on it a bit, it's the introduction of the social setting, like the alcohol, where people let a little loose a little bit, and they sort of flirt with that temptation. Like the idea is that whenever you're caught in that situation where you do start dating a friend, it's such an awkward transition in the grand scheme of things. But once you get past that transition, and once you go for the act, assuming of course you're successful, and I do believe that with Bud's situation, he definitely had the opportunity to, like, not to be critical of what happened. Everything's a learning experience. But in my opinion, the opportunity was there. It was just a question of, the dynamics of how things were communicated.
There's what I found in my own life looking back, not just his. There's always a window, right? Like with the girl at work, or a girl that you kind of thought was a friend. Because I've always divulged the fact, you say you were a pickup artist. I definitely wasn't a pickup artist in my 20s. I never fly that flag. I wasn't very good with women probably in my early 20s, but I was comfortable with it. I attracted women easily, and I had girlfriends and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say I was. I mean, there was things looking back where I'm like, wow, I didn't know she liked me that much. Right?
We've all had those moments.
Yeah, yeah.
We look back, we're like, oh no.
Yeah. So when like someone comes to me, I'm not like, oh, you blew it, man. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not that you didn't blow it, right? Like you just don't know. It's just ignorance. Or like I said earlier, when we got into deeper things, there was things to his childhood, there was things to his bad breakups that all culminated to this stuff. You know what I mean? So.
There's definitely something to be said about learning experience. Because,
Yeah.
again, I always encourage guys, especially at a club, bombing is a part of the process. It's like being a stand-up comic. You don't go to a stand-up comedy club and always get the laugh. You're going to bomb, and those bombs are going to be so severe, but it's going to teach you something about your character. It's going to teach you what works. And to his credit, based on what Bud's story, it sounds like he's gone through a really intense journey. And if you want to take another step deeper into it, as I'm sure he probably has, the idea of having these female friends that he's often trying to save is closely tied to his childhood. It's essentially codependency 101. But the other aspect is that, look, he was put in a situation where he probably could have gotten the girl, not to bash him in any way. We've all done this. I've screwed up countless times with countless women. I'm by no means perfect in that category. But the element is that you take these learning experiences and you treat them as such, as learning experiences, and then you learn to laugh at yourself 5 or 6 years down the road, or even a day after. You know what? At least I tried. At least I gave it a go. And in the worst case scenario, you make a fool of yourself, but then you're not left with that doubt of trying.
Right.
What if you had not done anything?
Well,
God.
I thought it was interesting because me and him have done multiple sessions, and like I was saying today at the end, I'm going to start cultivating relationships with the past clients to talk to them more regularly, because that's what I'm finding. People want to talk to me maybe once every 4 or 5 months, but they're saving it I wasn't going to call you. I wasn't going to call you because we only talk about breakups usually, but this has been, and I'm like, there's a lot of people that need to talk to someone once a month. They need just to get their stuff out. Because right now, especially, I'm just noticing in some of my clients, they don't have a lot of family or friends that they can talk to about stuff. So he's come back to me a few times with some different things outside of the breakup about current relationship or business. And so that's why he was just telling me about this recently. But I suppose we're all a work in progress, right? But what he shared today was vulnerable,
Oh, absolutely.
It was really cool, because I asked him before. I said, hey, look, you okay with talking about this, talking about that? He goes, whatever I can do to help you, Mac. He goes, I want more people to go to you for coaching and stuff like that. So I'll share whatever. So I was like, wow. That's what's really. I don't know if you've had the same experience with your coaching, and you don't do coaching anymore, but just connecting with people like this is special, man. It's really nice, because to be a part of a turning point in his life like that, and not necessarily be the person driving the car, but just giving some directions along the way. You know what I mean? It's really cool to see where he's at now from when a year and a half when we first started with just a friend zone situation. And what I liked about this is he didn't get the girl back. In fact, he didn't make the right moves. And you know what I mean? It's and he even mentioned that I went on some really bad dates in between and still, messed up. But then he ended up with a much better catch, a woman that he's with now that's a girlfriend. So it worked out, and that's what I want people to know. I think you'd agree. The whole point of when you come to someone like myself or you or any of the coaches or therapists, it's it's not necessarily solving the problem the way you think it needs to be solved by getting your ex back or them coming back to you. A lot of times solving the problem involves a different journey. You know what I mean?
Well, out of all the relationships I've had, every single time I've been dumped. There has been not one time that I've been dumped that I later regretted. It's always opened the door for other opportunities. Mm-hmm. So the aspect of it, look, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like you had mentioned, I'm starting a new job in Orange County, which is great. I'm happy. None of that would have happened had I settled. Maybe let me rephrase. None of that would have happened had the very first person I fallen in love with worked out long term. No disrespect to her. Great girl. But the idea is that, look, these experiences offer us opportunities, not just from a perspective standpoint, but even a logistics one. Like, had I settled in Toronto, I probably would have never gone to Ottawa. Had I not gone to Ottawa, I never would have made the contacts I made. Had I not done that, I never would have ended up in California. Had I not ended up in California, I never would have spent a year in Chile. Like, it's all these things are a direct accumulation of our experiences, regardless of whether or not they're negative or positive, at least in the moment. Like, all experiences, in my opinion, long term, are positive experiences, because it's either A, so traumatic that it teaches you something about yourself, or B, it's a good life experience that you can reflect on later on. Either way, you're the winner.
Right. Like, looking back when we went through it today with him, I was like, wow, it all happened for a reason. As cheesy as that sounds, or cliche as it sounds, it's like it led to something better. But I do think that the time that you get when people come to me, they're tired of the results, or they're tired of not having some answers or some other ideas. And it's I always tell people it's kind of a bold thing to go to someone on YouTube, right? Because it's kind of counter towards, if you're a certain age, well, I want to go to someone certified PhD from the hospital, or I want to go to someone that's got like, things are shifting towards this mode. And I always tell people, whatever you do with good intentions for yourself, where you're like, hey, I'm looking for answers right now, try different things up to what you can afford. I mean, don't put yourself into, debt, but try a few different things, because the things that you're doing over and over again are going to give you the same results. And people sometimes don't realize that a lot of times that's what they settle for.
Well, the problem with YouTube, and like, YouTube's a great platform in the sense that you have a lot of access for information. But the problem is that it's going to try to keep you on the platform. So whatever it is that you're looking for, and if your goal is, I want my ex back, it's going to start throwing you videos and opinions from a million people who say, oh, I can get your ex back. And sure, like, people are making money on it, so people will sell anything. There's snake oil salesmen exist everywhere. But like, the problem is what I've run into on my channel, I'm not sure if you run into this, like, a lot of people that come to my channel will come to me after maybe 2 or 3 months of going to these other channels that promise them, the hitting in high heavens on getting their ex back. And they'll say, well, the first video I listened to you, I absolutely hated because you weren't telling me what I wanted to hear. And it was, of course, after some time and some healing, where you're like, okay, now I'm starting to get the dynamic. What I'm afraid of is I'm afraid that this person will never reach out to me again. And you know what? That's a big possibility. But it doesn't mean that your life is over. It doesn't mean that you don't have purpose anymore. What it means is you've put too much emphasis on this person that clearly didn't have the same level of value or respect for you. That's something you need to work on. Like, I know you and I have talked about, my relationships in the past. And like, it's nice to bounce ideas off people. Like, the idea is, look, every therapist has a therapist. Like, no, you can't listen to this kind of dynamic 24 hours a day and not have it affect you, at least if you're a decent human being. So, like, oftentimes these people that hide behind these walls of, I need to wait 3 months, 4 months. No, you need to talk to someone when you need to talk to someone. Look, I have my own therapist. There are days I will be like, yo, I need to book something today, and she'll put something on the books for me. But the idea is, look, sometimes it's just the dynamic of life. Life's unfair. Life's chaotic. Like, I think Jordan Peterson says it best. He's like, this concept that people have about life being constructive and dynamic. He's like, life is dangerous. 99% of things out there die, like, before the end of their time. Life is absolutely brutal. You have to make the most of what you have with the tools you have available, and that includes tools for your psychological aspects.
That's a good point.
To stay positive. So don't be ashamed, guys, to seek out help when you need it. The problem is that with, like, most social dynamic situations, you have a cult-like following. So, like, these idiots on YouTube, and you know who I'm talking about, I won't name them out publicly, but there are some idiots out there who don't understand the basic concepts of trauma and psychology and are telling people, I can get your ex back, when they've never done it. They've never done it themselves. So they're causing more pain and suffering. They're causing people to delay their healing. And in the end, they're doing it for money.
Well, the thing is about getting your ex back is, even if I'll give you a side note to what you just said.
Sure.
Even if, let's say that, I'm fucking stuttering here. I gotta get some food soon.
Low sugar.
Even if you had some guy that goes, oh, I've gotten every ex back, because I've heard these before. Oh, I got my, you know what I did? This is what you should do. Still doesn't necessarily vibe with your situation. So even if you had someone that's quote unquote great with women, or has the magic touch, or he's gotten 3 girlfriends to come back to him and eat out of his hand, it doesn't mean your situation applies to what they did. So that's the whole other thing too, is that your personality, the person you're with, those tactics that guy used don't work on everyone. That's why this story is so important. That's why learning your client as a coach is so important, because it's no one size fits all. If I had to say the one thing that really gets me is like, and I have no contact videos, right? This is a tagline that's become popular on YouTube, and people will be like, well, I'm doing the no contact and stuff like that. There's no guarantee to that giving you some kind of result. That's more for you to, move forward and move on yourself and let the smoke clear and whatnot. But really, there's unique situations, unique interpretations for everyone. So that's where the work lies as a coach or someone helping you unpack things, is learning how you tick and why you're interpreting things this way. Because it's like one of the things that's starting to bug me is the whole, well, you need to be on your purpose, because people regurgitate this all the time. Well, you got to be on your purpose. You got to be on your purpose. It's like, yeah, okay. What does that mean to the individual, right? It used to be simple for humans. It was have a kid and have a family. There's your purpose. But now it's like a variety of things. So statements like that are so vague, people don't get specific on it. And so, I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here.
No. It's a legitimate point, because like to what you brought up, like the concept of no contact, and I covered this on my channel. I'm not sure if I've ever told you like where no contact comes from. Have I?
Comes from the land of no contact. No.
No contact was developed by psychologists and marriage counselors in the 1950s to help people going through a divorce, to essentially help the divorce. Because prior to that, women, not to sound too barbaric, but women were considered property. So what you had after the Second World War was you had a liberation of women in the workforce. So women all of a sudden had a feasible income. They had this concept of flexibility, and divorces went up as a result of this level of independence being abstained by women. But what resulted is that you had an escalation in divorce. So no contact was developed as a tool as helping couples get over a divorce. It was essentially helping people separate. And somehow, in the last 20 years, because of the creation of social media, it's now being used as a tool to sort of flaunt this like fake persona that you're over the ex before you're actually over them, which of course causes all kinds of issues, because I found myself in this situation as well. If you do have an ex who re-engages and comes back and you're not over them, you're going to stumble over your own feet, and you're going to screw it up even more. So it can never be about getting the ex back, and I've said this a million times on my channel. It's about getting yourself back.
Sure, me too.
Yeah, but somehow it's been lost in this translation of constant micromanaging / manipulation to try to convince someone to come back who doesn't see value in you. And that to me is like, look, I don't know about you, and I've met some pretty dumb people in my life, but I don't think that the average human is this prone to this kind of manipulation. People see right through it.
Right. Yeah. Are you sanding something?
You might be hearing me touching my hands. If it's the case, I will lower the mic. You see, I told you I have a brand new setup.
Yeah. All right, man. I got to go get some food. So I'm glad you hopped on to give your take the last 20 minutes. I'm glad you're doing well in your job and whatnot, and things are going well. Are you still going to be making videos for your channel?
I have been releasing some videos this past
Okay,
week,
cool.
but now I'm officially settled. Like my setup's done, so I'll probably be back to 3 videos a week starting tomorrow.
Okay,
So
cool, man.
we'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good, bud. Keep being you, and I'll catch you on another one. All right, bud?
Sounds good, brother.
All right,
Cheers.
bye-bye. All right, folks in the live stream. Haven't had any comments for a while, so maybe there was a lot of talking that went on today, a lot of conversation, not a lot of interaction with you guys, but as you know, I do care. So in the next live stream, we'll have some more stuff to talk about, maybe more interaction. T-Mac, hope you're well. Rob IS, it's always a pleasure. Guardian of the Gate. G-Money, keep being G-Money. Not the great James Caulfield, I believe it was prior to. Petty Betty, you're the best. Jen, miss ya. Sabina, I hope you're doing well in Austria. Derek D, Baltimore's finest. Elena P, Miami's finest. I think that's it. Who would still be on deck? All right, folks, it's curtains.